looking back to what kind of brought me there. I came from jail. I had sat in jail for about 8 months due to a prior offense. And I had a lot of time to think in there for one. But it didn't prepare me for still getting to community corrections and entering the program. So I was excited to go to community corrections for sure. I asked for that. I wanted that. When I got there, I don't know, overwhelmed, I guess I could say for sure. And the emotions just started to take over. Anger took place, um, frustration, irritation. I was just confused, which didn't make sense, right? I'm in active addiction and I'm confused as to why I'm being sent to a treatment center. So I was fighting myself, right? I was fighting my own thoughts and change, right? Because change is uncomfortable. Uncomfortability was one of the biggest things and one of the biggest challenges and emotions that I faced when I was told I was going to IRT. Because the way that I was living was miserable. I was homeless. I was hopeless. I had just been unemployed for several months. I just couldn't find my feet. So I'm so thankful for the program itself. I'm so thankful that God worked inside of me. Something changed.
Yeah.
Something changed from being sent there and being so angry and so confused and emotional to a peace inside me. Like, okay, I can do this. Something clicked. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it's that spiritual thing, but looking back at it now, I'm in such a good spot in my life where without the program, and without changing my mind and my perspective and my thoughts, there's no way I would be where I am today. I've been incarcerated over a handful of times, I would say, throughout my active addiction of 10 years of methamphetamine use.
Wow.
Um, I started when I was 14 years old. So it took a big toll on my life, right? Using it for so long. Like I said, being in jail multiple times, I never sought treatment, even spending months at a time in jail. I would get out of jail and I would go right back to the same thing I knew, right to what was comfortable. And I'd go right back to using the thing that took away my pain. They gave me structure, right? They gave me a structure that I didn't come from, right? So I was homeless for multiple years. Um, I didn't have a job. I didn't have hope. I didn't have aspirations. I didn't have any of that. So to be able to sit down with staff, and those staff were very inspirational for me. A couple of people played a role in it. Just them taking the time, right, I know they were aware of my anger. I made it very aware to them, like I was super not wanting to be here, right? I'm not mad at you. I'm mad at the situation.
Yeah.
Um, and they were very open to hearing that, and they were very open to, that's a normal feeling. That's change. That's just give it a chance. They were very encouraging and very supportive. And so that with my prayer and with my change in perspective kind of helped that flow a little better for that transition. My case manager at the time was just amazing. The talks that we were able to have were so down to earth. They were so non-judgmental. They were so real, right? And that's something that I never had with someone of superiority, and being in a place like community corrections or Department of Justice corrections, whatever that might be, to kind of be able to talk to somebody who isn't judging me from across the room, and ultimately is finding solutions that are enabling me to build independence, right? And I had no independence when I entered the company into the program. Um, and then working with Stacy Jones, I have to give her the biggest shout out. She was the biggest inspiration um, that played a role. She spent so much time with me, really, really getting down to my trauma, and that's what really was holding me back so much. That's where my drug use stemmed from, was to cover that pain, and I had never dealt with that pain. So for Stacy to really do so well at her job and to make me feel so comfortable and so accepted, even at the stage that I was broken, hopeless, um, just unsure of where I was gonna go. She believed in me. And she tried so many different techniques with me. She she really was my turning point, I would think. Um, Having those sessions with her was amazing. There's a couple of turning points. I had another one, MRT1, which was another one of her classes, which is a really tough one. It makes you take accountability for the people you've harmed,
Mm.
the emotions and effects that my actions caused on others. And being I fought being honest with myself for the longest. And it's hard to remember a lie, right? It's hard to remember your own lies. So when you put false information into your recovery plan and you're forced to go up in front of a class and present that information, it's very hard to remember.
Yeah.
So the main thing in that MRT1 is to name and remember all of the feelings and emotions that you've caused people. So after failing that twice, I had to sit down with myself and I had to look in the mirror because you get three strikes and you're having a talk with the higher staff to see if you're going to make it in the program. So I had to really sit down with myself. I had to look at myself in the mirror and I had to tell myself, am I going to be honest with myself? Do I want this change? And I had to think, okay, let's say I don't want this change. Where is my life going to go? Am I going to go back to the drugs? Am I going to go back to the same life that I had? And I had to make that life or death decision. To be honest with myself and to be honest with the people in front of me.
Yeah.
And when I made that decision, I passed MRT1. I continued to excel in the other classes as well. And I think that was probably honestly my biggest turning point was being honest and taking accountability for the harm that I caused. I would say, in my own perspective on jail, it taught me how to repress my feelings. It taught me how to not open up. It taught me to be tough, right? To you're a man, you don't have a problem,
Yeah.
right? And that's not the mindset that's going to create recovery.
Yeah.
Um, you need to be in a place where like-minded people are there doing the like-minded things, creating goals, having support, having a voice. Um, Jail just confirmed to me that I was alone. I have dealt with abandonment and self-esteem issues and self-confidence issues for a long time, and being in jail did not promote any of that. It didn't promote any growth in that area at all. It just kind of reinforced my own negative thinking. And that's the great thing with those classes and with the staff, right? So digging into personal trauma with Stacy, working those programs as far as my codependencies, um, the root of my self-esteem issues, kind of getting down to why I believe what I think. So kind of just really having those trained professionals that are normal people that really come to work every day to help me get better. They're not there to, yeah, we're all there to make a paycheck, but there's more to it, right? There's more heart involved. And I felt that heart um inside of ATC at all times. So I think with the program really taking the time to have people a part of their program that are in it for the heart, right? In it for the people, and they show that on a day-to-day basis. Really showed me that, hey, they keep coming to work, they keep showing up. I got to show up for them too. I got to do this for me too, right? So sometimes it's hard to do it for yourself at first. So you find little things to motivate you to continue to do it.
Yeah.
And one of my maybe motivating factors was if these people are willing to show up and invest time in me at this stage of my life where I don't feel investable in, maybe it's time I give back a little bit and drink some of the water and see
Yeah.
what can grow inside of me. When I got first into the program, I would say that there were no aspirations, there were no goals. I had no hopes, I had no dreams. To be able to take 90 days to to address some key components um, really gave me the ability to create my own goals. It gave me the ability to kind of sit back and think, what do I want for my own life? What do I want in 5 years? What do I want in 10 years? And to be able to set small goals for myself. each day. Those are wins, right? Those small goals are important. Get up, make your bed, brush your teeth. Little things make you feel good. Um, my aspirations for myself now are to give back, right? And that's what I do now as a peer recovery specialist for NCHA. I work in the addiction response team, and every day I work to share my lived experience with others, um, to tell them that recovery is possible and to share that with them. I try to tell myself this is kind of a little thing that I give, um, that I feel like I've been empowered with, right? I was given the ability to overcome my addiction. I feel like I've been given the power to go back into the community that I destroyed, that I took from, and that I have caused pain in. And now I'm in a position in my life where I can help others, right? Sobriety is not just for me. Sobriety is for other people too. It's for me to share with everyone else. And so if I can save three, four, five people, I love it. The transformation from living in active addiction to where I am today,
Mhm.
I'm speechless sometimes still. But I love to share with people the successes that recovery brings, right? Recovery brings so much joy and so much reward. Um, and it's there for everyone. Without this program, I wouldn't be where I am today. I wouldn't be able to help others. I wouldn't be able to help myself. Without the program, I don't think I'd be here today. But as far as some misconceptions about individuals in the criminal justice system, um, I think that goes back to stigma and labeling, which is huge. Um, People do recover, people do change. Um, I've been judged and labeled as a criminal for as many years as I can think back, till since I was 14 years old. Um, and those people who judged me probably would have never thought that I would be where I am today, possibly helping their child or their loved one
Mhm.
escape addiction, right? So to think about it that way, the misconception is that we can lock people away, put them in a cage for however long, and that's going to work. They'll figure it out. This is more than that. This is this is an addiction is a disease which requires care, which requires active maintenance, right? Support, care, maintenance along the way. You don't get that in incarceration. So I believe the misconception is that rehabilitation is going to happen in jail. Um, I believe the misconception is that once a criminal, always a criminal, and that is not the case. I have met the most amazing people that I have ever met in my life who are felons, who have done 10 years plus in prison, who have done some pretty bad things, but they figured it out. They did a treatment program, they did a 12-step program, they did whatever worked for them, whatever made their recovery possible, and made them a person in society who's productive and reliable and gives back. Um, I don't think that happens in DOC. I don't think that happens in county jail. I think that happens in places where there's non-judgmental people, where there's support, where there's no stigma, and where you can be vulnerable. Without ATC, I wouldn't be able to stand here in this room with you today. Because if there's no treatment centers, there's no programs, there's no people out there like us trying to, you know, put a block in put a change in the norm, put a roadblock in and do something different, um then what's going to really change? A lot of people have been able to benefit from what ATC did for me because now I can spread that to other people, right? I can share that support that they gave me. I can share the tools that program gave me, and I can continue to pass that along. Um, there's just so much proof in recovery and rehabilitation before incarceration. My dreams are to continue my education in addictive addiction counseling. So right now I'm currently a peer recovery coach, but I am in classes now for my certified addiction technician, which I'm on course to complete. And then I'll also be taking my CPFS, which is Colorado Peer and Family Specialist. So I'll be certified in the state of Colorado. And then after that, my 5-year goal, I'm going to be a licensed addiction counselor. So I'll be going to school to ultimately become an LAC and just continue to try to help people in addiction. The program's not going to cure your addiction. The program is going to guide you, it's going to give you tools, and it's going to give you strength inside of yourself to ultimately be independent, right? To be able to do these things on our own, to be able to sustain our own recovery.
Yeah.
Um, and ATC and IRT are doing phenomenal.